Jai Gurudev, and thank you for joining us today. Today we are going to discuss about the satsang on 26th of November in the presence of His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji. So let's begin our discussion. So how did the evening begin at the center today? Jai Gurudev, and thank you for joining us today. So the evening began not with excitement but stillness. People were welcomed into silence, then into satsang. That is a tradition. There was chanting, but even more powerful was meditation. Gurudev always says presence speaks louder than words. So before any speeches, everyone was guided into 25 minutes of Sahaj Dhyan, guided by Gurudeva meditation that dissolves labels of north, east, west, degrees, positions, everything. When thousands sit with closed eyes, time behaves differently. It doesn't stretch, it evaporates. The mind enters a field where inner prana expands naturally. That expansion creates joy, belonging, and a sense of safety. The center felt like one family gathering after a long pilgrimage from different directions. The first teaching of the evening was not about scriptures, nor AI, nor campus wellness, but about identity. Who are we when we drop the mind's contraction? This meditation set the tone for everything that followed. Now, what made the gathering historically important from a cultural viewpoint? The gathering stood at an interesting intersection. Modern education leaders sat beside spiritual practitioners without tension. In ancient Bharat, knowledge of the Vidya and consciousness of the Vigyan of inner expansion were never divorced. Here we see vice chancellors, NIT directors, IIM deans, law university heads, all asking about prana, purpose, ethics, and mental well being. That means intellect is maturing collectively. When Professor Swain asked about mind body soul balance, and Professor Dubey asked about AI's future impact, Gurudev answered not by rejecting modernity but by complementing it with consciousness. That is the essence of Vedic Dharma. Inclusion without dilution. Our culture does not fear a calculator or a computer. Instead, it fears a collapsed prana and lost ethics. So, this meeting was important because it revived a Vedic worldview inside contemporary institutions, bridging education, mental wellness, ethics, and spiritual resilience. Now, Gurudev asked if we realize 25 minutes pass, why does time fly in meditation? Jayadeva, when the mind contracts, time feels heavy and slow. When prana expands, mind stops observing time, it enters it. Meditation shifts us from a time watcher to time participant. Neurocognitive research shows that the default mode network settles, internal chatter reduces, breath becomes rhythmic, and prana flow stabilizes. In that state, the prefrontal cortex stops resisting the present moment. The body becomes like a well tuned instrument, just as the sitar string must not be too tight nor too loose to create music. The nervous system must not be overloaded nor numbered. When the balance is reached in meditation, the mind leaves its friction against the movement. Friction is what creates boredom, anxiety, or impatience. Absence of friction creates joy. That's when 25 minutes feel like 2 minutes. Gurudev wasn't exaggerating. People could have meditated longer easily. He said, I could have gone on for 1 hour because expanded prana is effortless endurance. Now, Gurudev quoted Prasarashtu Vigya. What exactly is that expansion referring to? The phrase comes from the Vedic insight that the worthiest subject of study is that which expands within us. That is not ego expansion, it is prana expansion. Our body has two dimensions, the Sthula Sharira made from food and the Sukshma Sharira made from prana. When prana becomes weak or shrinks, the mind feels crushed by the body and life feels like imprisonment. Escape emerges as self destruction, but Vedas don't give escape philosophy, they give expansion science. The inner body must be pumped into power through pranayama, mantra, and dhyana so it becomes robust, strong, and outward moving again. Then negativity loses its grip. This is Vigyan, not blind belief. Gurudev revived this Vedic physiology before answering the psychology question on suicide. His approach was precise, treat the root, the prana contraction, not only the symptom or the emotion. Now, how does the Sudarshan Kriya specifically help student mental health in such gatherings? Together, Sudarshan Kriya works on the core currency of emotion, the prana. Most interventions happen when emotions have already exploded. Gurudev emphasizes early inner strengthening so emotions don't reach a breaking point. Sudarshan Kriya is a cyclical rhythmic breathing process that flashes stress from the subtle body. In student life, the mind often becomes a pressure cooker of ambitions, competition, delayed emotional detection, and identity crisis. This Kriya resets the autonomic nervous system, improves the vagal tone, stabilizes hormones, and opens the emotional bandwidth. What people experience today in meditation, the lightness after silence, is exactly the after effect of expanded prana. When prana stops shrinking, the mind no longer feels trapped. So, this Kriya is not a relaxation technique, it is existential reinforcement. It restores the inner space where curiosity, creativity, ethics, and emotional intelligence can grow, exactly what campuses need now. Now, what role does ethics play in preventing suicides according to today's talk? Negative ethics determines the quality of progress. Unethical success steals prana because guilt, insecurity, comparison, and dishonesty all create subtle contraction. Today, Gurudev illustrated ethics through daily life examples, not metaphysical arguments. If your vendor cheats you with adulterated products, you feel crushed inside, but if you do the same to your customer, it's the same violation. That subtle injury is loss of dharma, and dharma injury collapses confidence. When confidence collapses, life questions turn into curses. Ethics protects the expansion that meditation creates. We in the Vedic Dharma Sansthan emphasize the Nyaya Uparjit Jivan, the honest means of earning the Satya, Vyavahar, Achar, Mantra, and Agnikaram to restore integrity. Integrity is not only moral, it is physiological. A dishonest person carries a a tight wrapped, subtle body. A truthful person carries an expanded one. Expanded prana supports peace, endurance, and emotional immunity. Now, how can teachers and parents detect signs of prana contraction early? Prana contraction shows itself through behavior, energy, sleep cycles, speech tone, eye contact, enthusiasm levels. When students stop asking questions or stop laughing or feel caged in silence, that is not meditation silence, that is prana shrink silence. Teachers must be trained in mind reading through observation. Art of Living conducts the mind management and life skills programs for faculty so they learn emotional diagnostics before crisis interventions becomes necessary. When parents meet faculty openly and faculty meets parents without hierarchy, emotional triage happens faster. Today's MOU initiative is powerful because it institutionalizes mental well-being training inside higher education, giving academic credit to prana enhancing practices, making subtle body health a part of curriculum, not extracurricular charity. This is how early detection becomes possible by educating teachers in the language of vibration, breath, and behavior, not only grades. Now, Gurudev mentioned the 268 war-free years. How should we understand conflict in human history? The conflicts has always coexisted with humanity. What is new is not violence, but awareness of violence through media. Ancient societies had war, but no real-time broadcast. Today, the mind's confidence in human existence shakes because conflict enters a bedroom through screens. The Vedic Dham gives one anchor: truth will prevail, peace must prevail, and peace begins in the individual's subtle body. If a tiny atomic bomb can erase nations, imagine the energy carried by trillions of atoms inside us. When thousands meditate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, it's not a prayer, it's a vibrational disarmament process. Peace mediated and meditated by a robust subtle body carries more impact than fear amplified by media. We should not underestimate collective sankalpa when guided by dharma and breath. Now, why did Japan delegates feel natural comfort at an Indian spiritual gathering? Jayanta, because divinity is not geography, it is frequency. Gurudev explained today that all deities are forms of divine energy present in everyone and everywhere. When you chant Aham Brahmasmi, you acknowledge your participation in that field, not ownership. Japan delegates connect well because Art of Living programs across the world teach acceptance without identity erasure. They are on happiness journey, which is a human need, not a cultural conversion. Human consciousness recognizes belonging instantly when the atmosphere carries expanded prana. India's spiritual export is not cultural replication, but cultural integration through consciousness technology. That's why they felt at home. Now, the subtle body was compared to a shawl. What was the significance of this imagery? Yeah, this shawl imagery explains the human tendency toward escape when the subtle body is squeezed. If a shawl is too tight, you remove it, but life is different. The body cannot be removed. Yet a contracted prana creates a desire to abandon embodiment. This then that results in suicidal ideation. The imagery shows problem clarity before solution delivery. Gurudev then gave the solution: pump prana in through pranayama, mantra, dhyana, seva, sankalpa, chanting, so the inner body expands beyond the psychological chokehold. Once prana expands, escape impulse dissolves automatically. That is the transformational mechanics of subtle body science. Now, how does Seva contribute to prana expansion? Jayagadev, Seva shifts attention from self absorption to self expression. When purpose meets action, the prana automatically broadens. Today, we saw a group from Satara, Kolhapur, and villages of Maharashtra arrive for collective Seva. Seva amplifies meditation because it channels energy externally, preventing inward collapse. It oxygenates the subtle body socially. People who serve selflessly experience increased belonging, which reduces existential isolation. A major cause behind youth distress today, Gurudev encouraged a young participant who shared his suicidal past by saying that the youth in recovery must become youth in inspiration. That is Seva evolving into leadership. Service removes fear, expands vibration, and stabilizes mind without rigidity or looseness. So, Seva is not social work alone, it's prana, low tonic, left in motion. Now, how does the Vedic Sun define true prosperity? There, the true prosperity is dharma plus samriddhi, righteous progress plus material abundance. Gurudev referred today to ancient Bharat rishis who created the Rasa Shastra, the Viman Shastra, the geography and metallurgy, not because they chased comfort, because they wanted emotional and social upliftment. The Rase Siddhi Karishyami Nir Dare Dram Jagat was the voice of sages who didn't want anyone to remain poor. So prosperity is not opposed to spirituality, but prosperity without dharma becomes a curse. The Vedic Sun promotes homas, the japa, the agni karyams, and the meditation so that wealth grows with integrity, not with adulteration, plagiarism, or psychological collapse. No poor mind, no poor nation. This is our motto. Growth must be rooted in ethics so that inner and outer continents move upward simultaneously, just as seen at the center today. Now, how will AI complement the human consciousness in education, as Gurudev said? Gurudev, AI brings optimization, not origination. Gurudev reassured today that AI can only offer what has been fed into it. It cannot author consciousness, but human consciousness carries infinite inventiveness. So AI challenges students to be more creative, authentic, and original rather than memorizing everything the old way. When calculators first entered classrooms, teachers protested, fearing loss of memory skills, but humanity evolved anyway. Similarly, AI will remove certain burdens but open new lanes for creative intelligence. Art of Living prepares students for this shift by training their subtle body stamina, emotional intelligence, and creative originality through breath, meditation, and campus wellness credits, which is why institutions embrace the MOU. AI will accelerate information, consciousness will elevate meaning. Both must grow together. That balance will build future ready students without anxiety. Now, how does the collective mantra chanting influence social ecosystems? Jayadev, a mantra is not sound, it is subtle frequency engineering. Today, chanting happened after meditation, which made the minds receptive, expanded, and unified. When thousands chant Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, it does a psychological detox at three levels: the mind, society, and nature. The subtle body becomes robust and broadcasts calm rather than panic. This globalized media age amplifies violence awareness. Therefore, we need vibrational counter amplification through mantra, dhyan, and Agnikaram. Group chanting aligns the nervous systems, creates a collective safety, and anchors the intellect in universality, not division. This is measurable in emotional sentiment on campuses too. Respect between generations increases when vibration synchronizes. The Vedic Dhammasan always emphasized the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Today, this was lived practically through chanting and silence. Now, why is early intervention more effective than late emotional counseling? Jagadev, because late counseling treats eruption, not depletion. Suicidal ideation emerges when prana collapses silently. Gurudev addressed the physiology of subtle shrink before addressing psychology. Art of Living faculty trains teachers for emotional triage via observation, breath literacy, behavior profiling, and prana strengthening. No, so intervention happens earlier, faster, And more precisely, today NIT teens asked about faculty-parent gap and crisis intervention delay. Gurudev's answer contained the antibiotic strong subtle body avoids psychological infection. Early breath intervention strengthens the inner body so symptoms don't peak. In a campus that respects prana science, detection becomes preclinical, not post-clinical. That is the shift Art of Living wants to bring through MOUs where wellness becomes syllabus, not emergency room conversation. Now, what is the Vedic view on multiple healing systems in medicine? Gurudev, Vedic view rejects fanaticism and embraces contextual healing. Gurudev explained today in emergencies, allopathy is best. In chronic or lifestyle issues, Ayurveda, yoga, meditation, and indigenous healing become necessary. Humanity suffers from systems become polarized. We must adopt a holistic, non-binary wellness model. The Vedic Sun aligns the medical treatment with the Agni Karyam, mantra, herbal knowledge, and meditation. So healing is precise, not ideological. Today's talk highlighted the proof India is rising because we included both scientia and sanctity historically. The best strategy is not either or, but as per need, as per person, as per crisis. Now, what does the acceptance principle mean in practical campus leadership? Jagadav, acceptance means understanding a situation without surrendering to its inertia. In the happiness program, we learn that we can change ourselves, not others, but we influence others more by presence and vibration than pressure. Campus leaders must stay firm but not rigid, adaptive but not loose. When interventions don't cause immediate change, we sustain influence with patience and subtle vibration impact. Today's talk proved that this mechanism Gurudev reassured students and leaders that negativity is not permanent. Even stone becomes round when water flows long enough. Similarly, humans change over time through steady vibration influence. This is acceptance guiding action, not rejecting change. Now, how does plagiarism collapse prana? Yeah, the plagiarism steals not only credit, it steals subtle confidence. Gurudev narrated incidents where NASA scientists cried because their innovations were taken by others. When your work is erased, the subtle body contracts sharply. This contraction produces sadness, crushed intellect, and existential fear. The Vedic Dharma calls this the Dharma Hani or the ethical loss. We train institutions to grow by Nyaya Uparjit progress so their prana reservoir does not shrink through dishonesty. If in leadership protecting originality is equal to protecting prana expansion, that's why we emphasize mantra, meditation, and Agni purification, integration of integrity, creativity, and self worth. Now, how do MOUs help expand prana socially? Jagurdev, MOUs institutionalize intention. Today's MOU signed with NITs and IIM Shillong Mixed Wellness accredited academic journey. This allows students to value prana expansion without feeling they are sacrificing academic time. When institutions honor meditation, breath science, and life skills with their curriculum credits, prana is no longer drained by guilt of not doing enough. It amplifies belonging, relational integrity, and early detection systems for distress. This is how education and consciousness become parallel engines instead of competing calendars. Now, why did the rishis invent physical science if spirituality was primary? Because rishis wanted upliftment, not escape. Bharadwaj wrote Viman Shastra, other sages refined the Rasa Shastra to remove poverty. They cultivated geography, metallurgy, and cosmology because they wanted societal progress to become righteous progress. Today's talk revived that worldview. Science was developed to support happiness, not oppose consciousness. That is the Vedic revival we must carry forward. Now, why did leaders ask life purpose questions today? Because existential curiosity is a sign of intellectual maturity. When Professor Krishnan Bhaskar asked, why am I born? Gurudev said that this indicates intellect is ripening, and this inquiry is the beginning of journey toward the higher self. Ripened intellect seeks purpose, not protest. There is a hunger for meaning. Art of Living programs prepare students to explore this meaning through meditation, not melancholy. Now, what ensures AI does not overpower intuition in education? Like the only a strong inner ecosystem can stand equal to optimization power. Intuition lives in expanded prana. When prana expands, originality expands. Gurudev said AI cannot replace consciousness, but it will challenge humans to become more creative and authentic. We emphasize breath and meditation training. So intuition grows as source code and AI grows as support software. Now, how to bridge student faculty respect gaps? Yeah, the respect collapses when prana collapses and labels dominate. Respect revives when silence dissolves labels. What we witness, the generations meditating together, leaders laughing, youth sharing vulnerability, cultures uniting without tension, is the bridge building effect of collective prana expansion. That is the fastest soft power method to restore respect, not by enforcement but by inner expansion. Now, how does the village seva amplify the national progress? Jayagurdev, village seva spreads the dharmic intelligence through grassroots vibration. Kolhapur and Satara groups said the seva was flourishing and they wanted blessings to spread more. Gurudev blessed them because the cultural revival at roots protects the economic revival at scale. This prevents prosperity from becoming curse. Now, how does the global conflict awareness create fear and solution? Real time media replaces innocence with information overload. Fear spreads faster than flood. The sages taught three levels of peace. The Kriya meditation strengthened settled bodies, so fear does not settle in it. Fear is amplification. Peace must be counter amplification through practice. Now, dharma and social progress are not opposed. How to implement? Implement Dharma with practical ethics, accredited wellness programs, Agni purification, mantra anchoring, observation diagnostics, and livelihood honesty models. This creates progress without prana collapse. Now, how can campuses offer credits for Kriya courses? Jayadeva, as witnessed with the MOU, institutions incorporate structured mind management modules where Sudarshan Kriya, meditation, and life skills are graded as credit subjects. This model already started and will grow wider. Now, how does adulteration of products violate dharma practically? Jagat, dharma is symmetry of trust. If cheating hurts you, cheating hurts others too. Gurudev explained this beautifully. Hurt to others is contraction inside you. Now, how does group diversity impact meditation quality? The more diverse the gathering, the faster the egos dissolve, the subtler the vibration becomes, and the more human belonging expands. Today's gathering proved that diversity does not dilute spirituality if guided through silence. Now, what prevents prosperity from turning into a curse? The dharma prevents it, the spirituality purifies it, and awareness anchors it, seva distributes it, breath technology sustains it. Now, what leadership qualities emerge today? Inclusion, emotional patience, non rigidity, early detection, intellect, and social seva vision, ability to laugh across positions, and the willingness to ask, "Who am I?" as a sign of maturity, not weakness. Now, what is subtle body resilience? The ability of the Sukshma Sharir or the Prana body to stay strong, rhythmic, outward, expanding, and emotionally spacious, ethically stable, and uncrushed by circumstances. Now, why phone calculator did not ruin human ability after protests? Jaydev, because evolution absorbs tools when consciousness has adaptability. Tools reduce burden, but creativity still rises if identity is strong. Now, does dharma spread only through narration or ritual? Through ritual plus mindset plus environment plus example plus prana vibration plus social inclusion plus intention. Now, what is the greatest challenge for you today, according to Gurudev? Isolation of mind, collapsing prana, loss of ethics, identity crisis, information overload, delayed emotional detection, invention pressure without intuitive training. Now, what BOD of Vedic Sun supports campus harmony? Mantra, the Agni Homas, the Parayana modules, the Pranayama modules, ethical progress teachings, vibrational leadership principles, early distress diagnostics, and community seva training. Now, what was the emotional highlight of the evening? A youth expressing transformation from suicide impulse to leadership inspiration, blessed directly by Gurudev, showing people change to sustain presence, not pressure. Now, how does the Sanskrit revival relate to identity? Yeah, the Sanskrit is the linguistic DNA of Vedic cultures. It structures cognition into precision, devotion, and elevation. Identity grows strong when language carries philosophical depth, not subtle inferiority. Now, what happens to fear when prana expands? It dissolves without negotiation, just as darkness sleeps when sun rises, fear leaves when prana rises. Now, what mantra anchors peace irrespective of geography? Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, peace in mind, peace in society, and peace in nature. Now, what philosophy did Gurudev reject today? Escape philosophy, either or ideology, fanatic rejection of AI or medicine systems, war amplification psychology, prosperity without dharma, intervention without early diagnostics. Now, what philosophy did he endorse? Inclusion, early breath intervention, ethical progress, resilience of Sukshma body, leadership through vibration, one human family, mid path balance, contextual medicine, integration, MOU based academic wellness, and creativity over only memorization. How can educators carry this teaching forward? By embodying observation intelligence, breath interventions, and ethical credit modules, presence based influence, and student purpose mentoring, intercampus cultural inclusion, the vibration leadership training. Now, how does one avoid rigidity yet hold dharma? Like music, string must be neither too tight nor too loose. Dharma must be firm, not rigid, adaptive, not diluted. Now, what should be done when Seva groups call Gurudev to villages? Take the blessings strengthen grassroots revival. Visits create inspiration, but even if physical arrival takes time, the inner arrival through programs continues, which is Seva becoming a movement. Now, what shows that this flag is not individual accomplishment but divine grace? Scale plus purity, 182 countries, youth saved, campuses collaborated, agriculture revived, Ayurveda honored, AI included without fear, and spirituality exported without conversion agenda. This is grace. Now, what is the key message for higher education mental wellness? Strengthen the prana first, detect the depletion early, offer credits to Kriya, empower teachers to observe vibration, influence to presence, balance prosperity with dharma, unify generations to silence, and let creativity rise beyond only tools. Now, what is the key Vedic message for national progress? Economic superpower, yes, but ethical superpower first. Physical progress, yes, but prana progress parallel. Spirituality does not oppose prosperity. It purifies it. No poor mind, no poor village, no poor nation. Now, how will the future education look if a consciousness becomes syllabus? It becomes early detected, creative driven, ethically anchored, anxiety free, intuition supported, AI complemented, wellness credited, one family based, livelihood supporting, vibration mentored, prana strong, purpose guided youth, the creation system. Now, final reflection, what was the true miracle of today's satsang? The miracle was integration without tension, silence without collapse, questions without confusion, technology without fear, and progress without prana loss. Medicine without fanaticism, culture without division, and youth without hopelessness, leadership without sharpness, and dharma without rigidity, belonging without labels, all sustained under the effortless smile of Gurudev. Now, how did the 25-minute meditation reflect Art of Wings' teaching methodology? The Art of Living expert smiled as she recalled the moment. One of the hallmarks of our meditation methodology is effortlessness, she said. When Gurudev asked her who realized it was 25 minutes, many were surprised. This reflects the sahaj or the natural absorption. The mind is led through rhythmic settling using breath, and then silence is experienced without resistance. In Sudarshan Kriya Yoga, we start with preparatory pranayama, move into Kriya with precise cycles, and culminate in meditation. This structure mimics nature activity to rest, sound to silence, wave to ocean. Gurudev's remark that we could have continued for an hour points to how the practice creates a time dissolving state, a sign of reduced mental friction. In our pedagogy, duration is never imposed, depth naturally expands it. We don't measure success by stillness of the body, but stillness of inner commentary. The methodology is trauma informed, culture agnostic, and cognition friendly for young students, to which is why institutions are giving credits. The Maharashtrian youth who expressed transformation did so not because of words, but because his nervous system down regulated into coherence. This is exactly our aim: skillful scientific quietening that opens the door to spiritual blossoming without dogma. Now, why did Gurudev stress transformation through vibration more than words? The Vedic Samsthan respectful says in the Vedic tradition, the subtlest is the strongest. He explained India's sages always taught through presence first, speech second. When Gurudev said inspire them through vibration, he was pointing to Shakti, consciousness, resonance, the pranayama, the mantra, and homam are technologies to refine the field around a person. A transformed youth becomes the transmitter of sankalpa. Speech can persuade, but vibration reforms in Agnihotra and Anjana Homam. We invoke deities to purify space itself. In meditation, we purify the self who occupies the space, but both achieve one thing: the inner amplification. The northeastern VCs and directors may govern institutions, but transformation of students requires teachers who embody peace, not just preach it. The youth in distress resonate more with authenticity than advice. Gurudev's own life, born into a devout scholarly home, later adopting temples and signing MOUs for mental well-being, shows how he leads by embodied dharma. The flag of spirituality is carried not with slogans, but with an aura of compassion, discipline, and serene direction. This is the essence of Vedic leadership too. The Tejas Pravesh, the function of radiance entering the hearts without negotiation. Now, how significant is academic credit for meditation in modern education? Yes, it's a revolutionary and restorative advance. India gave the world contemplative learning long before industrial classrooms existed. Now, by granting academic credits for Sudarshan Kriya Yoga and meditation, institutes acknowledge that mental health and self regulation are not extracurricular but curricular necessities. It validates that attention training is essential as information acquisition. The 25-minute meditation was proof if professors can be surprised by the passage of time, students too can experience cognitive load reduction. Credits will prevent tokenism. They ensure continuity. With credit comes evaluation not of belief, but of practice, discipline, and outcome, reduction in stress markers, emotional resilience, and improved social behavior. It bridges policy and physiology. For campuses like NITs and IMs, this can curb burnout, enhance intuition and decision making, and reduce impulsivity in youth. It also protects dharma from becoming ornamental. When education internalizes meditation, spirituality becomes functional, not fragile. Credits further integrate a diverse youth from hills to metros into one language of breath and inner science. The goal is not grading enlightenment but degrading consistency. This ensures that holistic well being is democratized, measurable, and sustainable for generations. Now, what deeper impact can the MOU bring to Northeastern institutions? Jagdev, Northeastern states are the crown of India's cultural diversity, but youth here, like elsewhere, battle anxiety, identity conflict, and digital distraction. The MOU is not just a document, it is a cultural healing corridor, bringing Sudarshan Kriya Yoga, meditation, and life skills for credits means breath becomes a unifier across language, terrain, and belief systems. It will empower students who may feel peripheral in national narratives and make them central to a larger consciousness ecosystem. The Vedic Dharma always celebrated geography linked to consciousness like Rishi culture around rivers and mountains. Now, UN recognized institutes in the hills receive systematic well being education too. It can reduce aggression, enhance community feeling, and inspire a Seva mindset, which Gurudev praised when he honored Sevadars from Maharashtra. The MOU may ignite research collaborations with ancient future intersections, neuroscience of mantra, Agni effect studies, natural farming projects, and Sanskrit learning, and yogic stress prevention modules. It ensures that development by 2047 does not erode roots but fortifies them. For us. This is Uttar Purva Punartej, a resurgence of radiance across the Northeast, guided not only by speech but transformative national vibration. Now, why did the deputy CM of Madhya Pradesh's observations about Gaushala and natural farming connect to Dharma? Jagadev, his words carried awareness of a cultural ecology. A Gaushala is not commodity management, it is protection of a sacred biocircuit. Cows are honored in Vedic tradition because they sustain society with nourishment, soil regeneration, and energetic calmness into a space. Natural farming revives the Bhumi Dharma, the earth's laws. Gurudev has long championed a chemical free farming because spirituality must protect the nervous system of both humans and the planet. The CM saw the Gaushala, the Gurukul, the Ayurvedic center, and natural farming. This is the full stack of Dharma. The Anna or the food, the Vidya or the education, and the Arogya or the health, the Sanskar or the values, and Agni or the Homa, and Dhyana or the meditation. Without proper food, meditation loses stability. Without meditation, culture loses direction. The CM's statement that progress without spirituality becomes a curse aligns with what we teach in youth programs too. Power without poise becomes poison. Dharma here is not ritual alone, it is systems that preserve the cognitive health, soil health, linguistic heritage, and intergenerational sankalpa. What he witnessed was a living proof that cultural preservation and well being are interdependent. This is Dharma in action, not philosophy in archives. Now, why did he emphasize Sanskrit alongside economic growth? Negative Sanskrit is the operating system of India's consciousness, he said. Economy may build infrastructure, but language builds the inner architecture. The CM recognized that if Sanskrit, mantra culture, and traditional knowledge don't grow with development, cognitive colonization happens even without foreign rule. Sanskrit is not nostalgic symbolism. It encodes precision, psychology, phonetics, and spiritual cognition. Modern campuses giving credits for meditation is one half of integration. Sanskrit learning is the other. One strengthens the nervous system, the other strengthens the cultural neurolinguistics. When mantra is chanted correctly, it modifies breath, brain, and space. This was evident when the young man spoke of transformation after meditation or lecture. Sanskrit protects the mantra science from distortion. It further nurtures the identity confidence in youth who may assume English is the only language of intellect. The Vedas say the Bhasha Eva Shakti, language itself is power. Economy without culture, language becomes economically strong but internally weak. By stressing Sanskrit, he was advocating for a parallel rise, outer superpower, the inner sovereign. This ensures that 2047 becomes a civilization milestone, not a cultural compromise. Now, Gurudev welcomed the questions openly. How does this reflect India's wisdom culture? Gurudev, India's spirituality is inquiry friendly. Gurudev embodies that. He asks us to ask in our program, skepticism is never fought, it is befriended through experience. When silence is tasted, questions become deeper, not disruptive. The open question culture protects Dharma from rigidity. The Vedic Dharma always encourages the Shastra, the healthy debate rooted in respect. Gurudev shows that education and spirituality share the same posture, curiosity, humility, and lived experience. In that hall, decorated beautifully so visitors don't get bored, he humorously grounded that even ornamentation is for seva, not ego. The deeper teaching is that knowledge should invite questions, not worship silence alone. Students in NITs and IIMs naturally align with this style. They question everything. Meditation for credits aligns with this ethos. The free question is. Invitation is a signal. My tradition is not threatened by your inquiry, it is strengthened by your transformation. This is why his global appeal spans 182 nations. He teaches inner science, not belief politics. Inquiry becomes devotion when answered through presence, practice, and self discovery. Now, how did honoring the Sevadars from Maharashtra amplify the message of Seva? Seva is worship in motion. He said when Gurudev honored the Sevadars from Satara, Kolhapur, Sangli, and Karvir, he was signaling that service binds India stronger than servants. Even insects live for themselves. The CM said, but true life is living for others. This is a Vedic Parupkara Dharma. Art of living teaches seva through silence, and Sudarshan Kriya Yoga stabilizes the mind that serves. In Vedic Samsthans, the homums are seva to space itself. Honoring youth sevadars inspires peer-led transformation. The distressed youth improve not when instructed to serve, but when they see their own age group being honored. Seva builds immunity to cynicism, entitlement, and isolation. That felicitation was not ceremony, but a behavioral nudge at scale. It imprints the Sankalpa into a generation. The blessing given to the emotional young man was empowerment through recognition. The Drishti Puja, worship through sight and presence. This is a Dharma shaping sociology. Now, the CM said progress without spirituality may turn into a curse. How do your traditions safeguard against this? We safeguard through inner stability at scale. Dharma without well-being becomes moral policing. Development without dharma becomes chaotic. Past Sudarshan, Kriya Yoga, Pranayama, and meditation are designed to prevent that curse by strengthening the self-regulation at a population level. The Vedic officer added that the homum safeguard by purifying the collective space. while breathwork purifies the practitioner who interacts with the collective. One reforms the person, the other reforms the environment. We build robustness from within so outer success doesn't intoxicate. This dual safety net ensures development becomes blessing, not burden. Now, what was the most powerful takeaway from the satsang cure for future generations? Jagadish, the awakening that India's culture must rise in parallel with its economy. He said in Gurudev's 25-minute meditation proved that inner expansion makes youth receptive to transformation without force. The MOU ensures that mental well-being becomes an institutional culture, not momentary emotion. The Gaushala and natural farming ensure the soil and system that sustain the meditator remain pure. Sanskrit ensures mantra remains precise. Seva ensures hearts remain humble. The CM's first visit gratitude was a testimony of cultural administrative acknowledgement. The biggest takeaway is that dharma is evolving into systems, credits, farms, language, and that not shrinking into rituals alone. Future generations need roots and radiance both. When leadership speaks of culture, Sanskrit, meditation, farming, and seva in one sentence, it means civilization is healing. It's a split between past and future. Gurudev carries that flag through presence, not pressure. This is how India will rise by 2047 with the outer achievement and inner identity intact, not in conflict. That satsang was less an event, more a civilizational inflection point of embodied dharma. Now, Gurudev's humor about decoration, why include it in a wisdom discourse? Negative humor in a teaching space is not ornament, it is disarming grace. Gurudev pointed to decoration being for the audience so they wouldn't get bored. This holds a mirror to ego without shaming. In Art of Living Pedagogy, laughter lowers a psychological shield, creating a learning ready brain state. In the Vedas, so stories and metaphors were used to encode profound truths in accessible packaging. Gurudev's humor bridges cognition and consciousness. It allows people from ministers to directors to youth to receive wisdom without strain. Humor carries humility and presence. It teaches that even aesthetics can be seva, not self worship. Dharma becomes alive when the teacher is relatable. Laughter expands acceptance and reduces rigidity. This is a vibration based learning curriculum. It also softens the hierarchy, allowing questions to arise freely. This is why the 25-minute meditation could dissolve into timelessness. The space was emotionally safe and light. A wisdom hall must be inviting. Heaviness shuts learning. Gurudev makes teaching multidimensional silence, celebration, and smiles. Now, how does the Sudarshan Kriya Yoga preserve emotional balance in institutional environments? Sudarshan Kriya is not only a practice, it is an emotional governor. Institutional spaces carry ambition, deadlines, competition, and hierarchy. These can create collective stress accumulation. The Sudarshan Kriya Yoga systematically releases stress from layers of the breath, orienting the autonomic nervous system toward coherence. With regular practice, impulsive reactions reduce, emotional latency increases, and decision clarity improves. This safeguards leaders from reactive governance and students from overwhelming anxiety. When institutions grant credits, it ensures consistency of practice, preventing meditation from becoming a sporadic stress band aid. The Kriya aligns breath wave patterns with inner rhythm, stabilizing emotional tides without suppressing them. Balanced breath leads to balanced behavior. When youth see authentic transformation, as witnessed in the Maharashtra's youth emotional testimony, it inspires nonverbal reformation. Sudarshan Kriya Yoga makes emotional resilience measurable. It doesn't dismantle ambition, it detoxifies it. This harmony between drive and calmness ensures development becomes blessing, not chaos. It reflects the sthira sukham or the steadfast happiness. Now, why was the emphasis on Ayurveda relevant alongside meditation and farming? Decorative Ayurveda is Dharma's approach to health architecture. Meditation refines the mind, pranayama recalibrates the life force, mantras reshape vibration, the homam purifies the space, but Ayurveda sustains the body that hosts consciousness. The CM's observation of the Panchakarma and Ayurvedic center was significant because Dharma must protect Soma. the inner juice and physical well-being, not just the agni or the fire element purification. Natural farming supplies the prana-rich nutrition. Ayurveda metabolizes it properly. Meditation stabilizes the mind that consumes it, and mantra stabilizes the field around the one practicing it. This is the Vedic full stack: the bhumi, the soma, the agni, and the chaitanya. Without balanced digestion and detoxification, meditation can wobble on a chemical stress system. Ayurveda preserves the neurological and digestive integrity of the meditator. The natural farming protects the soil ecosystem. Ayurveda protects the human ecosystem. Both uphold the Prakriti Dharma, the laws of nature. In contemporary times, this integration makes wellness comprehensive, scientific, and sustainable, protecting youth physiology, leader stamina, and cultural healthcare sovereignty. How does giving meditation credits echo India's ancient Gurukul education template? Yeah, in the Gurukul system, education was holistic, personality sculpting, self-regulating, discipline building, and dharma-informed knowledge was delivered alongside the sanskar training, attention management, emotional literacy, the breath regulation, presence transmission, and service culture. Modern campuses giving credits to meditation restores that ancient curriculum core in a modern secular wrapper. Credits formalize continuity, evaluation, discipline outcomes, and mental training as part of academic identity. The 25-minute meditation where time dissolved proves that contemplative absorption is a learnable skill. In Gurukul, silence was graded by depth of experience. Here, it is graded by consistency and outcomes. This protects dharma from being optional. It declares that intellect and inner stability can rise together. Ancient Gurukul wasn't nostalgic; it was neuroscience without labs. Now, labs acknowledge its value. Credits democratize well being for students from hills to metros. It bridges inquiry culture and experience culture. This ensures future leadership is poised, not pressured, rooted, not reactive, accomplished, not chaotic. How do institutes like NITs benefit when leadership attends meditation satsangs together with students? When leadership meditates in the same hall as students, hierarchy becomes humanized in NIT environments. Perceived distance between decision makers and learners can create psychological isolation. Collective meditation reduces that gap without reducing respect. Leaders embody calmness, transmitting it non-verbally. Students feel held, not ruled. It creates a campus biofield of coherence. Decisions then serve the people, not the pressure. This is where the embodied governance updated for tech campuses. Now, what was the impact of the Maharashtra's youth's emotional testimony on the overall campus outreach message? A youth testimony is a sociologist's mantra. It validates that transformation is possible, personal, peer led, non force, and practice based, real, measurable, inspirational, contagious, and sustainable. The distressed youth mentioned by Gurudev will resonate more with someone like them than lectures or policy. His emotional expression converted silence into mission. When leaders witness this, dharma and development found common ground. This inspires institutional adoption of vibration based transformation rather than persuasion based conversion. Now, how does the mantra chanting safeguard the mental well being without clashing with the secular academics? Mantra is a precision sound science, not belief politics. It works on breath rhythm, cranial resonance, the vagal toning, the mental coherence, and space purification. Secular academia doesn't need to adopt deity, only the technology. Chanting credits evaluate discipline, not dogma. It protects the psyche from distortion, distraction, anxiety, dysregulation, rigidity, stress, chaos, burnout, disintegration, and inner collapse. The mental well being is a measurable outcome of practice, not belief. Now, what is the significance of visiting the Gaushala before addressing Dharma in a public speech? Jagadavi explained Gaushala is the oxygen of cultural ecology. Seeing it first means acknowledging society's sustenance layer, the soil, the milk, the nourishment, calmness, and environmental regeneration, and sacred biocircuit protection. It tells youth and leaders alike protect your source before proclaiming your success. This is Bhumi Dharma in motion. Now, why did Gurudev cue collective meditation before free questions and dialogues? Yes, silence first, speech next. Meditation down regulates mental noise, allowing questions to arise from depth, not disturbance. Inquiry becomes refined curiosity, not resistance. It aligns with the Shastrarth culture debate rooted in coherence. How did Dasyam's first visit gratitude reflect a broader national awakening to spiritual capital? He said with reverence, gratitude wasn't personal, it was civilizational. When governance voices Sanskrit, Ayurveda, natural farming, seva, meditation, and campus well being in one breath, it means Indus's outer ambition recognizes inner stability as a national wealth. Spiritual capital is no longer decorative, it is constitutional oxygen for national development to become a blessing by 2047, not a burden, Jagadev.